Hi everyone, and welcome back to English for Academic and Professional Purposes class. I am teacher Juainy Aggabao from Becuran High School, Division of Pampanga. For today's lesson, we will be identifying the various text structures and the different types of writing. Next is that you will be able to extract information in different text structures. And finally, at the end of this discussion, you will be able to employ a type of language or discipline in crafting or writing non-academic text or academic texts. But before we start, I want you to get your notebook together with your ball pen so that you can write the important details on the lesson. And of course, don't forget to get your modules, especially the modified modules that I gave you so that you can follow across the discussion. And finally, find a comfortable place so that you can learn better. And for the professionals or a language teacher like me who is actually watching this video right now, I humbly ask for your understanding if I ever make a mistake or if I ever discuss a certain topic which is misleading to its definition, examples, explanation, its usage or application. From the bottom of my heart, I apologize for it. Please let me know. Please educate me and help me better my presentation. So that's it. Thank you very much and let's go. Now, before we go to the lesson proper, let us revisit first our previous lesson, especially on the introduction to academic and non-academic text. So again, academic text is more of formal learning, and its words and terms are typically very specific to that particular field because more often than not, it is written by professionals. Next, definitely it is informative because its primary purpose is to provide new concepts, ideas, and knowledge about a certain topic. And sometimes you might write to narrate sets of events in the manner of a story, and sometimes it is argumentative. And of course, it must always be objective in nature. As a writer, you have to present all sides of the story because your primary purpose is to persuade your readers that your explanation or theory is the correct one. Finally, having said that, in order for you to persuade your audience, you need to present the evidences, your sources, citations, and references that you found and used to your paper to help you and your readers to understand the relevance to your topic, which are valid, which are reliable, and which are based from facts and from different scholars. Let us now move forward to describing non-academic texts. Again, non-academic text is a text for the mass public. It can be written by anyone because it can be published instantly. And more often than not, non-academic text is a straightforward text or it can be easily understood by anyone because it may not consist jargons or unfamiliar terms where writers can usually or can use more conversational language or slang words. And sometimes, of course, non-academic texts does not follow a particular text structure. Next is that sometimes in non-academic text, it does not involve any background research or even mentioning of any sources. But writers is still discouraged to plagiarism because more often than not, there is still a need to give credits for the data or ideas used on their papers. Moving on, and finally, non-academic text can be subjective because it is used to express emotions and opinions towards a particular topic, wherein you can be biased on your own beliefs or on your own opinions, unlike academic texts. Because in academic text, you are to present all sides of the story. And now, let us revisit the types of academic text and followed by the structures that shape academic writing. And these are descriptive, persuasive, analytical, and critical. And the factors that shape academic writing are audience, purpose, organization, style, flow, and the presentation. So class, please watch the certain parts of the discussion about these topics if you feel the need to. And the link of the episode 1 video will flash on your screen and be posted on the description below. And I hope you learn from it. Let's proceed. Finally, we will begin to our new lesson. So let us talk about the types of writing. What are the types of writing? And how are they differ in approach or in purpose? First is the narrative. So this is the basic structure that writers use to present ideas. This may inform through illustrations and anecdotes. But how do we do that? As a writer, always remember, more often than not, you should always use interpretations and valid explanation of a text, concept, or a process to prove something. Especially, these should be based from a true incident or an event that is typically what we call the anecdotes. And these can be used as our valid proof or evidence that can be used to our arguments. Also, in narrative writing, you can entertain your readers through writing amusing stories and predict what will happen next, or explain how something works or how something happens. Or simply, you can write anything that interests you or that is close to your heart. And this can be done depending on your target or purpose, if it's objective or subjective informed. So what do we mean by that? So when we say objective writing, it is a type of writing that you can verify through evidences and facts. And this type of writing is also best used when you, as a writer, you need to present unbiased information to your audience, and then you let them determine their own stand or their own opinions. So let's have an example. News reports and school textbooks are also an example of objective writing because they often use objective writing. While subjective writing, on the other hand, is a type of writing that you cannot evaluate, calculate, or even verify because it only presents emotions, point of view, and judgments. And if your goal or purpose is simply to inform your audience, then subjective writing should not be employed. Now, let's discuss about argumentative writing. So when we say argumentative writing, again, it goes beyond giving information. And always remember that as a writer, when your purpose or objective is to persuade your readers, guided by your evidences with analyses and references that will support your claims and theories, and more often than not, you should always have a valid reasoning to every point that you presented in your paper. And always remember what, just like what I have mentioned earlier, to those who will be reading your paper, they will consider your point of view at least. Lastly and finally, this is informational writing. So when we say informational writing, it is written to inform or explain something. Again, informational writing is basically used to develop ideas using techniques to present details, and is written in a logical manner so that readers can easily and quickly find the informations that they are looking for. Moving on to the types of text structures, and I hope you're still with me. So please kindly post this video for a while and comment anything about what you've learned so far, and I'm going to read them for sure. So keep in touch. You are doing great. So let's go. First, let's define definition. So from the word itself, when writing and when you present unfamiliar words, you should introduce that certain term to your readers and so that they could have an idea of what you are writing, and so of course they can catch up to the topic that you are presenting. And on the other hand, definition has subterms, and these are standard, regulatory, personal, and invented definition. So what do we mean by standard definition? So when we say standard definition, this is the universal definition of a particular word or a particular term where it has very rare changes depending on how it is used and how it improves its definition or meaning. So let's take for example, if you are to define COVID-19, particularly COVID-19 pandemic, and so as much as possible, we are to use credible sites or credible sources describing its origin, its history or meaning, so that we would not sound awkward, and somehow of course it might make us less professional if we mislead its definition or meaning. So you have to be very careful when defining a particular term or a particular word in your paper. Next is the regulatory definition. So what do we mean by that? It means these are the assigned meanings and are typically used based on an organization like Pag-asa, NDRRMC, LTO, and whatnot. More likely, its primary purpose is to inform the audience or inform the readers about a particular topic or particular phenomena, because these rules are made to control, or in order to control how something is done or how people behave in such situations. So for instance, you are to write about the sudden change in the country due to pandemic, particularly how does the COVID-19 pandemic or COVID-19 virus has spread vastly, and how does it affected everyone in many ways. And so you may take some regulatories or rules implemented by the government or any organizations in order to inform or educate, at least educate people to be able for them to be able to control this kind of virus in the future. Now let's talk about personal definition. Anyway, do you have any idea about this one? Yes, you're definitely right. And of course, I am sure that you already got the idea of this topic based from the word itself. So, when we say personal definition, it does not necessarily mean that we have changed its meaning, we have changed its definition or standard definition of a particular word, but rather we just have come up with that unique meaning or unique definition because of what we have experienced relating with that particular word. And so that's why most of us have different perspective, different opinion, different understanding of a particular idea, a particular situation, or a word because of what we have experienced. And for example, if I am to ask you what is the meaning of true love, what is the definition of true love for you? And so, of course, most of you will definitely give wonderful and unique stories and answers that you can share to us. And definitely that is another factor, because they are whatever you say, whatever you give us, these are based from your own experiences, and these are based from your own feelings, because of what you have experienced or felt with your loved ones, with your family, or with your friends. And that is why, as sometimes, no, we have to respect each other's views on a certain part, even if it's hard to understand each other. Then if it's just an opinion, if it's just a personal definition, then we have to respect each other. And lastly, this last example that I'm about to give is very relevant for the students who are actually listening, watching, and learning this video right now. So, for example, during your online meetings, online lessons, or even during face-to-face discussions, when your teacher asks you about a certain question, asking your own opinion, asking your own knowledge, asking your own idea, or whatever you can share to the class or to your teacher, just don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid to share your own to share your own words to the class, because you will never know that your idea will be a new knowledge to everyone, especially to your classmates and even to your teacher. So I am encouraging you to share your own words, to share your own experiences, to share your own knowledge. And always remember that we cannot learn everything by our own. Lastly, let's discuss about the invented definition. So I believe this is mostly created by the amazing millennials and the other social groups in our community, such as the Jejemon, the Becuran language, which is largely used by the LGBT community, wherein they make a new word out of an existing one. So let us say, for example, when I say besh, it means best friend. Besh or beshi, it means best friend. And another one is when we say pak, that means wow or I like it. Another one is pabebe. You all know this for sure. So when we say pabebe, it means there are different contexts. The first one is when someone is timid or shy, and in other contexts they use pabebe as someone who is flirty or flirting someone, and who is showing naughtiness to someone, and that's it. And last one is when I say carry mo yan, it means you can do it. And what else? How about you? What can you share with us? Please comment them below. Let's move forward to description as a type of text structure. So for your information class, writers commonly use this to describe something. This may be an object, this may be a person, a place, a situation, an experience, emotion, or anything. Because basically, when you write a descriptive text, you are going to narrate how something happened or how something looked like, and following a structured one that is in logical order. Now let us discuss the classification. So what do we mean by that? When we say classification, actually this is commonly used to organize ideas into categories. But how do we do that? So here's my take. For example, if you are to write about the factors that affect the mental health of the student, particularly the senior high school students of Becuran High School, then you are going to list down the things you think affect the mental health of the students. And of course, you are going to outline these ideas. Let us say the primary factors are first, the modular distance learning. Next one, so we have broken relationships, family matters, or personal problems. And next one is online games or mobile games, and etc. And then we are going to categorize these factors into different groups. Let us say, for example, what are the sub-factors or what are the other things that affect the mental health of the student under the modular distance learning. So under that subject or category, we have the various or heavy subjects. We have plenty of activities. We have stressful environment or stressful classmates as well, or any other things. And how about under the broken relationships? There are plenty or many factors to consider under the broken relationships, and one of that is loved ones, friendships, or even our families. And of course, let's talk about under the mobile games or online games. Under that, we can say we have Blue Strike. I am referring to Mobile Legends. We have Blue Strike, Stupid Allies, defeat defeat ranks or battles, right? So basically, you are just going to break down all the possible factors that affect the mental health of the student. And of course, there's another way to do that. To determine these factors is to make a research. To do a research, make a questionnaire, and then conduct it with the relevant respondents, which are basically of course, the senior high school students. And in doing so, you are now classifying these things, you are now classifying these factors into categories. Now let us have the compare and contrast. This is used when the writer presented two different ideas or more, showing their similarities or differences, and its purpose is to come up with a judgment. And when you write or use this type of a structure, you are following a sequence in presenting, defining, and explaining your ideas. Now, it is up to the writer if he will be presenting the first idea or the second one. And then after that, he will compare it to the other, and then he will present or show their similarities or differences or vice versa by listing them one by one. Now we have cause and effect. So basically, this structure is used to explain why things happen. And the writer presents the results of that certain phenomena, and then he will enumerate rather all the possible factors and all the possible solutions on that particular matter. Congratulations, because we are now on the second last part of this discussion, and this is chronological. Chronological is commonly known as time order. This pattern is used when writers, more often than not, presents ideas in order. For example, when the writer write the text using this structure or pattern, particularly if it has something to do with events or a story or even procedures as well, then you will present your ideas like narrating the details of the story, or simply showing or presenting the timeline of events and writing it according to how something happened in logical order. Finally, we have problem and solution. Before I finish this one, congratulations for making it this far. And so this type of structure is used in showing patterns of organization. So what do we mean by patterns of organization? So we have 5 basic organizational models that we can use to organize our ideas. And these are flashed on our presentation. And so this pattern may follow a number of different forms. At one extreme, the problem and solution are labeled as such. And at the other extreme, the pattern is a series of questions and answers that may or may not lead to the resolution of the problem or issue being presented. And that's all. And I really hope that you learned something new today. And if you have any questions, please let me know by leaving a comment below. To my dear class, please don't forget to support me by subscribing to my channel. Again, I am teacher Juainy Aggabao from Becuran High School Division of Pampanga. Stay safe and God bless.